This machine has very noisy head bearings. Let's crack on. Hello and welcome to another Mr. Beta Pilot video, and this one's a little bit different insofar as I don't know where this one's going. This is a Sony SL700ME, and I've had this for, gosh, must be getting on for 10 years now. Bought it on eBay, like I say, 10 years ago, and what I loved about it is the 7 system. I was sort of never really too aware of the ME machines. I knew some of them. I knew the T7, for example, but it has been through the wars. I mean, you can see it's looking pretty tatty on the top there, and yes, I believe what's happened is while it was in storage in an attic, mice got on top of the box. It was in a box, in its original box actually, and they decided to relieve themselves on the box, and basically it hadn't got in the box. You could see the wet mark, but it sort of didn't get to the machine, but the vapor did, and this is all from the vapor of the urine as it sort of sat near it. But this is only half the story. The head drum itself, the bearings, are so noisy. The machine was working absolutely fine. I've not tried it now probably for about 3 years, but we're going to try it now and just see. I did try a few tricks to try and quieten down the bearings. I mean, ultimately I think I'm going to have to change them. So that's where, when I say I don't know where this video is going, I really don't know. I have a 700ME Mk2, and I think it's a 15th anniversary edition, and it's all good, or seems to be all good, except for the Capstan motor, and the Capstan motor is actually beyond saving. I've spoken to a couple of people about it and tried a few tricks, and it's just running fast all the time. It's had it, I think. But this uses the same motor, so I'm thinking, if this is really terrible, then I'll swap the motor out of this. I certainly won't scrap this. This will be got up and running, but I might wait until I see a scrap one of these somewhere. If anybody has one that is like totally had it, but the mechanism is complete, I may well be interested in it, so drop me an email or leave a comment. But I think what we ought to do is just give it a try. I've already taken the bottom cover off, and they do actually have little quite half-decent feet on the bottom, like hi-fi equipment feet, but yeah, you can already hear what the bearings are like. So anyway, let's put a cassette in. Hope the power supply is okay. These power supplies, switch mode power supply, 100 volts to 240 or 220, something like that. And they can, well, invariably they do suffer with capacitor issues. So yeah, I can see it's had its fair share of use. I did actually recap this. Oh, I've recapped it. Oh, well, that's good. I think I've even changed that one. Yeah, I did. Oh wow, okay, well that's encouraging. I must have done that not long after I bought it. So, well, that's one thing checked off the list. But yeah, let's power it on, see what it does, see if it works, and then make a decision. Okay, so it is actually 110 to 240 volts voltage wise, but what's a bit unusual for Sony Betamax is it's using phono RCA jacks, and the out is where the in usually is on Sony's. So the out is actually on the left there and the in is on the right. So yeah, it's just a little bit different. Yeah, let's power it on. Okay, so powered on. There's an autophonic set. So hopefully it should be okay, but like I say, it's not been on for a long time. I'm trying a half decent cassette. Okay, so far so good. So let's press play. Yeah. I mean, it is just so noisy. So let's realise it's PAL, that's a good start. Yeah, so let's have a look at the picture. So noisy. So, I mean, it's great. It's really, really good. It's just a shame those bearings are so bad. I'm tracking left, tracking right, so it loses it right at the end there. Pause I expect to be fairly poor, sort of standard two-head pause. Yeah, button's a little bit dodgy for scan forward, back. So it's a great machine. It's just those heads, or the head bearings. So I think what I'll do is I will drop the motor out of this, and we'll look at the other 700, put the motor in that, just double check that it is the motor, and then make a decision whether we're going to sort the bearings on this one or leave the motor in the other one. Quite a decision to make, actually. Well, for me anyway. But like I say, at the end of the day, I will do this one regardless. If I mean, part of me just wants to get the other machine working, because I'd love to see it working, and then try and locate another capstan motor and do those bearings separately, especially as this is quite a tatty machine. So yeah, let's crack on. I thought I'd just try an NTSC. This is a 4.43, and what a racket. It's just so noisy. I mean, picture's great. It's a black and white film, so that doesn't help, but it works perfectly fine. It's just really noisy. So yeah, anyway, yeah, again, let's crack on. Okay, so I've run this for a couple of hours actually with the NTSC cassette in. My thinking was the drum's actually running faster, but it's still as noisy. It's still as noisy as ever. So yeah, let's just whip that out. And I wonder how good that cassette is actually. It's ES. What do you reckon about these American ES type Sony cassettes? I have heard people say that they are not that great compared to the Japanese ones, but I don't know, we'll see. I've got a load actually, so I'll give you my opinion when I've gone through a few. But I'm just looking at the Capstan motor. It's the same Capstan motor, so BHF 1917B. Same used on this. It's the same on the Mk2 700ME. It's also the same on the 200. And I have actually dug out a 200, which I've had for a number of years. But we'll take a look at that in a minute. But just pull this apart. So you can just pull these apart. There is a little bracket that stops it moving. A couple of washers, and they seem to have gone somewhere. Anyway, yeah. So what I think is actually wrong with this is the Hall effect devices, and you can see on here they're actually surface mount full connection Hall effects, and I'm just wondering if I can replace those. So if I can source them, if I can get modern equivalents or whatever, then I may well do that and see if I can resurrect this whole motor. I was suspecting the Hall effect for the servo, but it can't. Well, it could be that as well. But the fact that it's just running fast all the time suggests to me that there's no regulation of the speed from these Hall effects. So this chip is getting no feedback as to the speed the motor itself's rotating at. So it just runs it full speed, regardless of what the circuitry is feeding to it. I seem to remember the circuitry is trying to slow it down. You get like I think it's a high voltage, 5 volts, something like that. I could be thinking the HF100 mind, but I think they're similar. Where it's trying to tell, well, it's telling this chip to slow down, but it can't because it's not getting the proper feedback from here, from one of these Hall effects. So you've got 3. So yeah, I shall investigate that, and that will probably be a future video. And whichever machine I decide to pull a donor motor from will receive this motor. So yeah, I'm going to find those washers. Can't believe it just disappeared. Yeah, then we'll look at this this SL200. Okay, so I've got the 200. It's a super beta, as you can see. And what does this do? It says PAL C-cam. Yeah, it is just PAL C-cam. So no NTSC on this one. But it's the Mark III. So quite a late one, I suppose, relatively, as a result. But it does use the same Capstan motor, so I'm very tempted, depending on what we find with this, to borrow the motor out of here. This machine is very, very low hours. You can see the drum hardly has any wear at all, and I think this machine was retired quite early on because it had the fault where push a cassette in, it dropped down, and it would immediately eject. And I went through everything. Literally, I was suspecting the end sensor here might be bad, but no, it's absolutely fine. I even replaced it, and checked all the voltages. Everything was fine. You can see from the power supply, it's like brand new. And yeah, so process of elimination, and using the manual, I actually came to the conclusion that the firmware's bad on the microprocessor. Now, I'm still a little bit dubious about that. I did find several dry joints around and about which I've sorted. But I have heard that the firmware can go bad in these, and this can be a symptom of that. So I don't know. I think the only way I'd ever find out is if I ever got another machine with this board, because I can't find this chip. I can find this chip, but not with the right firmware. So the last numbers there are the firmware version 020. So I think I've got that right. Let me know in the comments if I haven't, but from memory that is right. And looks like there's a bit of board warpage going on there. I'm sure that wasn't the case when I last had this open, but yes, and I say when I last had this open, it is literally, gosh, it must be easily 3 years, 3 or 4 years since I bought this. So yeah, it's I was a bit upset, to be honest, that I couldn't get it going. So let's power it on. It's a transformer. It's 127 or 220 volts, switchable on the back. Check the switch, it's on 220 volts. It's fantastic. Power it on. Super. I'm going to use the NTSC cassette because I know what's going to happen. So let's give it a go. And you can see it does try and start to lace. But just doesn't. You can hear like a hunt, and that to me doesn't sound quite right, that it's sort of doing this. It's almost like it thinks there's a broken cassette. So I don't know. Like I say, it's almost like the logic is just totally all over the place. So I am very tempted to at least borrow the motor from this and the Capstan, and yeah, to see if we can get the other 700 going. So yeah, let's have a look at the other one. Okay, so I'm just thinking on about this. If I turn this off and then push this down, so this is what senses if there's, well, when it's at the end of the lace, and then let's take that out, turn it on, it laces and then unlaces. So it laces. Just what is it finding wrong? It's just such a mystery, this one. I'm still very sketchy that it's firmware, you know. But yeah, interesting. It's just interesting I can get it to lace if I do push this down. And press the power. Okay, well, let's have a look at the other 700. Okay, so here we go. It's actually fully boxed, and yeah, it's actually really nice because it has the polystyrene as well, which is absolutely fantastic, albeit a little bit broken. Sorry if you don't like the sound of that. Original remote, which is perfect. Again, I don't think it's seen it. Well, yeah, it's seen some use, but let's remove that. Even has the original manual, user manual. That's really great. So, yeah, let's have a look. So this 700ME is the 50th anniversary limited edition, and wow, it's really cool. Sort of forgotten just how nice this machine was. Two screws hold the top on, and there's a bit of plastic. Oh, yeah. So this has a front loading system issue as well, but yeah, otherwise we're looking fairly good. So this machine is a bit of a mix. Well, I say a bit of a mix. It's the same as the Mark 1 700. In a lot of ways, power supply is a similar sort of thing. The layout's very similar, but we are going to have to swap this out. Yeah, I've already had this apart. Interesting that I didn't keep the screws. It's a bit of a shame, but that's fine. I can work around that. I'll have them somewhere. Yeah, it's again, well, I mean, look at that drum. There's no hours on it at all. It looks so young. I don't think this has hardly seen any use. That's amazing. Well, I say that, I mean, there's tape residue here, but the drum is really good. I mean, it's great. Yeah, I can see somewhere, but it's obviously just not had the greatest of tapes through it. Plastics look okay, bit of cracking going on there, which is fairly usual. Bit of muck, but not much. This has not been dusted through or anything, so yeah. Oh yes, you've got to take the front panel off, because this panel links to the front clock board, I seem to remember. We'll have a look at that, 'cause obviously we're going to have to change this, which I'll probably take from the 200, and I'll get this one going. It's that 200 is going to be an interesting one, I think. I'll leave the other 700. It does work, even though it's got noisy bearings, and we'll look at those bearings in another video, hopefully. I will try and change them. I've never done bearings before, but I know it is possible. So yeah, even though Sony never really designed them to be repaired, you just buy a whole new unit. But yeah, this should be very serviceable, I think. So yeah, so let's use the 200 as the donor deck. This I can fix. Got a bit of plastic that broke off. We can do something fun with that, but this will go on the 200 for now. I'll use the 200 because that front loading system is great. And swap out the Capstan motor, and well, see what it does. Okay, so let's harvest the Capstan motor and the front loading system from this machine. Let's move you up. So let's get the front panel off. We do actually need to remove these two screws. Okay, super. So that is off. Now I need to unplug front loading system. So it's on a black connector here. There we go. Flip that over. It's quite interesting to see how they do the panels on this actually. Magic. And then 2 screws top. Soft tappers are all the same screw. One's holding the panel and the front loading system. Just drop that through. So little in it, things just drop through. I think these ones might be different. No, they're all the same. So screws there and there, and then I think this should just lift up. It's a while since I've done one of these. There we go. Super. And then need to drop the Capstan motor, which is a little bit tricky to get to. Problem we've got is this connector is over the screw, but it is a connector. This is just plugged in, so if I remove that connector, hopefully that'll be enough for me to just get to that screw. I seem to remember I have done it before and succeeded. So yeah, let's get and do that. Gosh, that's really loose. That's interesting. Just wonder if I'm going to have enough clearance to actually get this out. In theory I should have without having to take the whole head out. I just don't want to take the whole head out. Yes, yes I do. You probably didn't see too much of that. But basically it fouls against the back of the capstan assembly here, making it quite a fiddle to get out. What I did is just put blade of a screwdriver, because the plug is slightly raised over the socket, and with this bit of metal as well, it's really easy just to gently prise that off. So yeah, it's actually quite nice to do, to be fair. I don't know whether this actually really helps me much, because I still can't really get to the screw. Yeah, I might have to take the head off. There are 2 screws, so one there, one there. I think that's all I need to remove. God, that's loose as well. Maybe there's screws in this, which sort of slightly rings alarm bells for me. So yeah, they do have little plastic collars on them as well. It's worth noting. But we can now drop the motor. So yeah, let's turn the machine on its side and just pull that out. Let's at the moment it's being held by its belt. Oh, this screw can be fun sometimes. Oh, actually in this one it's not so bad because it's a full size one. I've had problems where they've used smaller screws, and they're done up so tight and varnished, you end up sort of damaging the head of the screw. I'm going to get away with that. I might have to take that out. That makes sense to take it out, really, what it's worth. So that's on the same sort of self-tapping screw. And there we go. BHF 1917A. And it's actually quite interesting. This is a BH... Oh, they're different motors. Completely different motors. This is an A. This is a B. Oh, that's frustrating. I'm guessing they're not interchangeable. Recap this as well. Well, that's shot me down in flames a bit. We might have to turn our attentions back to the other 700. Take the motor out of that one. Oh well, I suppose it was fun to take it apart. So yeah, I'm going to put this back together. I'm not going to show it on camera. It's the reverse of putting it apart. And yeah, let's have a look at that other 700 and just see if I've made a monumental mistake with that one. So all back together. I have actually put the front loading system back on as well, because I don't see the point of nicking front loading system from this one when I've got exactly the same one on the noisy 700. I'd just rather have one machine that I know that I've taken the parts from. You know, this one's complete now. It's back to how it was with tightened screws. A bit odd that those screws were loose, but yeah, basically I'll really need to get to the bottom of this. I'm still not happy it's a firmware issue, but I remember going right the way through it, and that was really the only conclusion I could come to. But anyway, we may well look at this in a future video, so yeah, keep an eye out. Subscribe. Click that notification bell. That'd be great. So let's get the other 700 and strip that one down. So I don't know why I always think the first 700 is actually a thicker machine, because it isn't. It just appears it from the front. It's sort of, I suppose, clever design. So I'm going to do this a little bit more the proper way. I'm going to just take the tension off the belt, losing my voice, and take off my little protection brackets, which in theory you don't need, but if it was hit hard enough it might drop. Come unseated, and there we go. Try not to butcher that too much. Super. On these, they actually use this green glue, and I'll be interested to hear your experiences if you've come across machines with this. Do they suffer the same as the ones with the brown glue as far as moisture ingress goes? I mean, I will clean that off, to be honest, but yeah, Just be interested to hear what you say. I'm sure I have read somewhere that it's not as bad, but after sort of 30, 40 years, it can still cause problems. So I don't know, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. So this is actually the same sort of idea as the 200. It's essentially a relatively identical deck. Yeah, we do need to remove these screws as well. When I did the 200, I took them out automatically. Clip on the top as well, but that's already freed. So there's actually quite a few clips. Two there, two there. The one underneath, take out the two screws, and also retain the bottom cover. And you've got the one at the top there in the middle as well. Fantastic. So this will be the same drill as the 200. As far as we lift this up, slightly different insofar as the display. I don't think the display was mounted on the board like that. And you have got this as well. Do I need to free that, or can I get away with it? It's just a black connector again. And get away with it. Trying desperately hard not to damage them. There's another one around here as well. So that's super. Just put these screws back in. So again, it's the same as the 200. It's an identical this is a bit it does have a spider literally almost land on my head. Just look at this. Look at it. Oh dear. Just made me feel away. Oh dear. That's funny. Sort of. I know it's a bit early for them, to be honest. It's very, very cold still. I don't know whether it wants to help me do this. I mean, it's quite welcome. And probably the vibrations are going to make it go a bit crazy. And Sundoodle 2 inside. That's become a wildlife video. Oh dear. Maybe that's the bug in the firmware on the 200. Maybe it'll work now because it's down there. Oh dear. I'm sort of making it that I can't edit this out now. So otherwise I'd edit it out and stick it in the Goose video, but I can't do that now, can I? Yeah, so you see here there is rust on the deck. That spider's really being very well behaved. So I suppose oh dear, ought to start dropping this down. So same drill with the audio head. So except this time I'm probably not going to bother unplugging it. I'll just move it to one side. So you can see that plastic spacer again. And then this one. I don't know whether you need to actually completely take that one out, but that's how I'm going to do it. And then we can drop this down. The screw's very loose as well. Just don't seem to be very well tightened. And it's still here. I think at this rate, it's going to become like the face of Mr. Betabyte. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm just going to give this spider a slightly nicer home than a Betamax, and then we'll drop this capstan out and stick it in the other machine. Okay, so this is the Mark II now. Drop the capstan motor out. So I'm going to ask the other machine and put this into this one. Somewhere I know I do have all the screws, but where that bag is, because this is really, I mean, it's easily 3 years since I've worked on this, so let's turn it over and put those screws in. Okay, so I don't know where the original screws are gone, but obviously I've got the ones from the other machine. I won't be putting a capstan motor back in that for now, because I don't have a good one. So it's all gone terribly wrong. Okay, so the motor's in, head's in, tightened up, front cover, front panel is pretty much the same as the Mark I. Screws are out, and clip. Lovely. And again, it's the same sort of layout. 3-pin. Take this out. Oh. Why is that being a pain in the... No, done it wrong. There we go. You've got to slide it in from the back forward. There's a little locating bit of plastic there that it will foul if you try and drop it in. Forgot about that, actually. I think I must have just done it automatically on the other decks. And I was trying not to foul a cable, so this cable here needs to go through a special place there in the front loading system, and it was trying to go behind, so that's my excuse, and that's what I'm sticking to. And again, I think the top panel on this is pretty much the same as the Mark I. So move you over, push the cable through. Be a bit, oh, I've unplugged it, so I can lift this up without any worries. and then put 3 screws in. And what I'll do it off camera, so I'm just going to give it a bit of a dust out front while that front panel's off. And yeah, that should do the trick, I think. So yes, see you in a minute. Okay, so moment of truth. I do need to get that I need one of these because it has Euro plug on it. Let's power it on. This will be the first time for 3+ years, so hopefully it won't go bang. So far so good. That's good. So let's try a cassette. Oh. Oh, okay. We've got the same problem as the oh dear, as the SL200. So I'm just going to test the end sensors, yellow and blue connectors, and nice and easy to identify. Not so easy to test the way I'm doing it. So expect about 2.6 ohms, so that's fine. And oh gosh, oh, fingers and thumbs. Yeah, 2.6. Cool. Okay, so I'm fairly confident they're good. Guess what I forgot to do? I forgot to plug in the Capstan motor. So we'll see. Will it work now? Yes. I've actually put in a cassette with broken tape in. It's a little bit, yeah, but that's good. I wonder if that's what's wrong with the 200. It's a Capstan motor. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so grabbed a good cassette. So it's lacing fine. It sounds a bit rough, but that's fine, we can work with that. Press play, which I think's that one. C cam. Well, that's fine. Super beta, color, edit off. Tracking. It's a little bit not great, but the color's a bit struggling a bit to get the color. Okay, so this is the playback. It's you can actually see I've got more noise starting to come in. the more this is used. I say that, you didn't see what it was like before, but it was just the colour shifted, and now I'm getting some sort of video noise coming in. Probably caps reforming, I would say. I don't think I've got issues with surface mount caps in this. I don't think it's quite new enough. But I do want to try an NTSC cassette, so let's just press eject. Oh, which... yeah, it's not putting the tape in very well, which is a bit of a pain. Let's have to look at real table tension, and yeah, I mean, it's a fairly well used machine. There we go. It's quite cool because that was rewound right the way back. So let's press play. And it's detected NTSC.
Your top dollar for your trade-in. Even get on-the-spot financing. Friday, 12 hours only. One data deal at your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer. Where real
now this is off
make a real difference.
satellite as well, and I do know it's pretty ropey, to be fair.
Today on Cinema 7, a magical
Oh, but that
story
seems
leads a young
terribly
boy and a
ropey.
wacky wizard to royalty. Stay with us
We've got
for
that
the
breakthrough
sword and the
there
stone.
of that luminance is.
Delightful family classic. Walt Disney's The
Luminance
Sword in the
seems
Stone. It's coming up next.
way too high.
Brought to you in part by Coach Tweety and Cocoa Pebble cereals. They're yabba dabba delicious.
Coach me trick Fred out of his Fruity Pebbles. Space Police, the alien has landed. The alien? He's after the fruitiest cereal in Bedrock. Not my delicious Fruity Pebbles. You, check under the bed. Yes, sir. Well, I check out your Fruity Pebbles. Fruity full orange.
Yes, is it the recording? Is it the source, or is it the machine? I don't know this tape either. I've just grabbed this out of a box of NTSC machine tapes. Somewhere I do have one.
It's the incredible Crash Dummies.
Where is it?
Some days this job's hard to face.
Now the Crash Dummies have a crash test center where Slick, Spin, and all the dummies face the ultimate test.
Nice body slam!
There's even a place to crunch your crash car.
You guys really cracked me up.
Don't you be a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
And leave the crashing to us.
The incredible Crash Dummies. Crash Test Center comes with everything shown. You put it together.
Something incredible is happening that will give Sega Genesis even more power. Game Genie now works with your Sega Genesis system in most games, like Sonic the Hedgehog, Kid Chameleon, Toe Jam, and Earl. Game Genie for Sega Genesis.
Excellent.
You cast them aside, exile to the closet, rescue them. Get most of your old video games out of the closet and play them like new with Game Genie. Jump higher, change levels, live forever.
Excellent!
For your Nintendo Entertainment System, Game Genie from Galoob.
It was a bit before Christmas and all through the house, nothing was stirring, not even a... I ran to the kitchen, what could it be? Christmas cookies
Okay,
were
so...
to me.
This country.
It's getting better at putting the tape back in, but it's not great. Here we go. So this tape I know is good. Yeah, so we have got issues. Oh yeah, I mean it's pretty terrible. I would say I have got cap issues.
I think I'll have Mr. Rumbo's potato. Carry the barn here when you got your snacks in the car. I've just come to tell you that I'm real cut up about them sheep.
Yes, I've got... Oh. yeah, let me just show you what's happened here. Oh, that's another tape. What was actually happening? The tape was actually the other side of this, so it wasn't getting any control pulses properly. So honestly, I'm not being kind to cassettes today. I have to say the performance is not much better. Ooh, super beta. Yeah, it's not great though, is it? Okay, so it works. We've got it working. But I'm going to leave this here. It's probably become a very long video, and I'm really sorry about that. I try and keep them a bit shorter these days. But interesting about the Capstan motor. The one of the 200 has a problem with the Capstan motor. Yes, there will be a part 2 and probably a part 3 as well. And I'm sort of looking to do this as a series covering all 3 machines and basically getting them all going. So they're not going to be sequential, so it's like this week is this machine, next week we'll carry on. It'll probably be a few weeks in between each machine. So we've got other machines to look at, some repairs to do. So do subscribe, so you sort of, and click the notification bell so you know when I'm working on these machines again. So with that, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you in another video. Take care and bye for now.